Welcome back. So I figured I'd put out a little fall update kind of video. I'm not really big on vlogging. I'm much better. I think my videos are much better when I'm just making a project and then putting it out there for you guys to see the project I made. I know a lot of you guys follow along with the homesteading aspect of the channel. When we moved out here and I started building the house and building the shop and getting everything kind of put together. Well, this fall, it's gotten cold pretty quickly. And I wanted to get some things done before it started raining and before it started snowing and freezing real hard. I want to get some stuff done outside. As you know, when I put something on video, that project takes probably about twice as long to do the project. A couple hours to edit the video, no big deal. Put it out there. I kind of edit videos at night, so it's not that big a deal. But it makes the project take longer. And I'm trying to get these few things done that I really wanted done before it got too cold and too wet. So hang out for a second. I'll take you around the shop, the property, the house, and show you all the little things I've been getting done. One of the main things I wanted to get done was paint the house. This is a gray color that we picked out probably about a year ago. The trim's gonna go that darker gray that's up there. We still haven't done the trim around the windows. The 2111 plywood came primered when we bought it. We bought it primered, and the primer went through last winter just fine. I looked at it this spring. I took a little wire brush to it to see if it was going to start flaking off. It was still stuck to that plywood really nice, so I went ahead, cleaned it off, and painted it. So this is the gray color. Get the camera going the right direction. This is the gray color the house is going to be, and that dark gray that's up on this eave right here, that's going to be the color of the trim that goes around the windows and doors. The only thing that didn't get painted, the dormer up there. I didn't get a chance to paint that because there's yellow jacket nests up in the eave up there. The eave is not covered in like the lower eaves. The lower eaves, I've already got them soffit done, and the end eaves are not done yet. But that dormer, there was a bunch of yellow jacket nests up there, and I didn't want to get up there and have to fight with yellow jackets. I knocked the nest down. They came back and started rebuilding them. So I figured I'd wait until it got a little bit colder and the yellow jackets went into hibernation. I'd knock the nest down and I'd get up there and paint that plywood siding up there so it would last, well, for a long time. I didn't want to leave it out over the winter again. It would not be a good thing. So right out here we have a frost-free hydrant. Now, this hydrant fills that little pool that the dogs drink out of, the chickens drink out of, the cats, whatever. Whoever wants to drink out of the pool, they can drink out of the pool. We keep that thing full year round. Even if it's full of ice, it's still full. That frost-free was the furthest point that we had water out here in the property. So I dug down, I put an extension on the pipe. Whenever I stop a frost-free, I put a T to have the frost-free come up out of the ground, and I continue the pipe on a couple feet, just in case later in life I want to add on to it. So I dug down to that extension on that pipe, and I put that valve. That's what that little cap is right there. That's a valve. It's about 3 feet down. I have a piece of PVC that I've cut a notch in, and I have a handle on top so I can turn that valve on and off as needed. Right now that valve is off. The frost-free has water, but everything past it is turned off. Now I put that down on the ground so that I could run water up to the corner of the shop. I want to put a frost-free hydrant up there by the corner of the shop, and I also want to put a frost-free hydrant out here by the fence. So we've got the frost-free coming out here, pipe in the ground, no water in it. It's all about 3 foot down. It's gonna come right out here to the fence line. This is our fence line that we have fenced off. It's about 3.5 acres fenced for the dogs out of the 40 acres we own. And I have plans to put a livestock barn right out there, just on the other side of this fence, somewhere out there. But that's definitely in the future. It's not going to happen this year. I figured since I was adding underground water and frost freeze, instead of just doing the one and then digging it up later, I would get the other one plumbed out here so that if I put a livestock barn out here next summer, I've already got water right next to it. No big deal. And I don't have to worry about backfilling all of it. I can dig this ditch, finish digging it, and finish putting the frost freeze in whenever, because there's no water in that pipe. It's not going to freeze. So that part was done. I got it teed off and got that buried so I wouldn't have to worry about it freezing. One of the smaller homestead chores, filling the woodshed. 5.5 cords of wood stacked in that woodshed, ready for winter. That's going to cover the house. On the side note, we've got a shop over here. And I didn't want to work in a cold shop. So I happened to be over at my neighbor's house one day. Older gentleman lives across the street. And I see this sitting in his backyard, just sitting there in the dirt. It's a big barrel stove. It's not a 55-gallon drum. This is actually 3/16" metal. Pretty thick. I did do a couple modifications to it, but I got the stove for free. This thing will easily burn 8 cords of wood a year if I wanted it to. It's massive. I can stick huge logs in there. It only takes a little bit, even though the shop has no insulation in it. You can see up there, right there, the light coming through where the purlins are on top of the rafters. The air just flows right through there. There's no, even the vapor barrier, the house wrap doesn't cover that. So there's not any insulation. There's no way to keep the heat in. But there's been mornings where it's been 30 degrees already this year after I put that in. And I come out here and fire it up, put a couple logs in, go back inside, wait about 15 minutes. And it's just enough to get the chill off the air. So chill off the air, chill out of the air, something like that. It gets the chill out of the shop. So it's not so bad to work out here. And right now, I mean, I'm wearing a hoodie. I don't think I've worn anything more than a hoodie so far this year inside the shop. I do have insulated coveralls for outside when it gets really cold, but that thing keeps it nice and toasty in here. And that's a main thing that I wanted to get done so I wouldn't be out here working in the cold. As far as burning in that, I'm not going to touch any of the firewood in the woodshed. That is just for the house, but I've got that huge stack of wood over there. Those are all takeoff pieces from the sawmill. Couldn't give them away. I tried giving them away on Facebook Marketplace. Nobody wanted anything to do with it. So that's all firewood for the shop. All I have to do is take a chainsaw out there, cut it up, stack it. I've got a little stack going kind of up against this wall, plenty far away from the wood burning stove. So I don't have to worry about it. And if the stuff gets wet outside, because I really don't have another woodshed to stack it in, I can bring a bunch in, sit it next to the wall, let it dry out in the heat from the wood burning stove, kind of cycle it through that way. I should always have something to burn in here. And if it's hard to start, where's that propane torch? I got a propane weed burner torch. I'm sure that'll get that fire going. Come here to you. My picked on dogs. Are you my picked on dogs, huh? Look at the small little ears. Small little ears. Great Pyrenees with tiny ears. Where you got tiny ears from? Dogs are picked on now. They have a shop with a wood burning stove in it to sleep in, huh? Guys are never going to go outside again. Now, as far as the concrete in the shop, the concrete company accepted responsibility for the hot load of concrete that was delivered. It took a little bit. He had to do his end of the research before he was just going to admit that it was their fault and not mine. But he looked through the logs on which truck was dispatched first and second and what happened on their end, and he realized that it was their fault that the first truck had to stop and get fuel. The second truck passed it. I think it took the first truck like 45 minutes to get fuel, something like that. I don't know. It was way late. So they accepted full responsibility. I had two choices. No barking. Outside to bark. I had two choices. They would come up here with an excavator and break up the concrete in this last pour and then deliver me new concrete for free. That means I'd have to form it again and I'd have to get all my neighbors together again to re-pour it. It's either that or I got a full refund on the concrete. They just give me my money back because I paid the bill as it was delivered. He told me to just rip up my bill, but he couldn't do that, of course, because I'd already paid it. So I went for the full refund. I didn't want to tear up this concrete. I didn't think it was that bad. I still don't think it's that bad. I don't think it needs to be tore up. It just needs to be leveled out and smoothed out. So I'm working on that. I got a concrete grinder and ground down. You can see the exposed aggregate look right here. That's a low spot over there. There's another low spot over there. A lot of exposed aggregate kind of all over. I took that concrete grinder. I think it cost me $320 for the 1-day rental, which I rented over the weekend, so got to use it for a little while longer. But I ground down basically the whole floor. The way I kind of figured level on it was just by flooding with a hose. The concrete grinder has a hose that goes in the back of it, so it uses water to keep the bit cool, or the disc cool. And I was kind of wondering, like, how am I gonna figure out level on this? But then when I started going and the water started I was running a little bit of water, a lot bit of water. The water kind of started flooding, and I'd work one area that I knew was high, and the water would kind of go away from it. I'd go to a different spot. I'd find a high spot that was outside of the water, grind it down a little bit, and then I'd look back and there'd be a dry spot with puddles on either side, so I'd grind it down a little bit more. It took a while, but it's ground down, it's smooth, and I'm debating on whether I'm gonna level it or pay somebody else to level it. Paying somebody else to level it is kind of expensive. The leveling agent itself is kind of expensive. But I'm thinking I might just do that next spring. I'm gonna organize my shop, and I'm probably gonna do more than just that last pour. I'll probably come into this area over here. This is the second to last pour. It's nothing really wrong with it, but if I'm gonna level it, I might as well level the whole workspace that I'm gonna work in. So that's what's going on with the concrete, and that kind of brings you, well, other than the walls, I've started framing up underneath the loft. Nothing major, 2x6 walls. I'm gonna have a little room over there that stays clean, keeps all the dust out, all the dirt out from working in the shop. And I can have a table in there where I can design things I wanna make, or just have a clean space to work on certain projects. You know, if I need a clean area to work on something, I'll have a clean room over there that I can work out of. One more thing while we're at it. We got ourselves a nice little toy for the shop. So all I had for an air compressor for the shop was a bigger size job site air compressor, 110, you plug it in. It wasn't really keeping up, and it wasn't gonna keep up with some of the tools that I have. So I went on the search for an air compressor, couldn't find a new one that I liked. I wanted to get a 2-stage pump with a nice electric motor. Everything's kind of sold out right now. It's kind of hard to find stuff, but I did find this on Marketplace. This little beauty right here. Now it's kind of old. I think it was built in 1979. Came out of Bonneville Dam. They had 5 or 6 of them in Bonneville Dam, and they used them somehow to keep stuff cool. Maybe the air flowing over stuff kept it cool. I don't know exactly. But a local guy here had it on Marketplace. He'd had it for a couple of years. He'd had it running a couple times, but nothing major. So, and he didn't have it plugged in when I got it. So it was kind of a gamble, but it was only $400. And I figured I could probably sell the tank for some and the electric motor for some, or whatever worked on it. If something didn't work, whatever worked on it, I could probably get some money back out of. So I went ahead, made the gamble, and I got it all plumbed in. It works great. Got the copper pipe coming out of the side right there. Does a little S and goes through the wall. Now, why it does an S, that's so if the compressor kind of rattles around a little bit or moves, or say I'm using my backhoe and bump into it, it doesn't just pull on a line that's dead straight right through the wall. So it does a little S right there, goes through the wall, comes in the wall down there, comes through my little condensation trap. It's kind of a homemade condensation trap. Little S's, gravity will let the water kind of drain down. It's all angled, so it drains down. We have a long tube there that can fill full of water. Every once in a while you turn the valve on, blows the water out the bottom. Comes up here, we have another on-off valve right there. If we want to turn the pressure off and work on it. That's a pressure regulator. The pressure regulator is there because that air compressor pressurizes, I think it turns on at 140 PSI, turns off at 175 PSI. I don't want 175 PSI coming through my airlines. So I bought the pressure regulator. I think I have it set at 120 120, 130 psi. Air compressor turns on at 140 psi. This is 120 psi. I haven't noticed a drop in pressure. The air compressor keeps up really nice. So I think that's pretty much it. We've got heat. We've got air. I think the shop's ready to go. We need to start making stuff. I don't know. What should I make first? Got to do something for the house. It's getting to be winter time. It's going to be inside project time. I'll have to think of a couple ideas for stuff to build for the house. Think of something, put it down in the comments. Don't forget, hit that like button, the subscribe button, little bell for notifications. If you feel like supporting the channel, we have an Amazon affiliate link down in the description. If you shop on Amazon, click on that link. It'll take you to Amazon. You do your shopping. It doesn't cost you a penny, but it gets us just a slim percentage for being the ones to send you there. If not, watch another video, watch an ad, whatever you feel like doing. Until next time, guys, go make something.